Ahmaud Arbery was a young man. Once upon a time was thought to be a great star, great prospect for the NFL. He was an enthusiast who loved to run. In excellent condition, he'd jog often. Unfortunately for Ahmaud Arbery, he's decided to jog one day when the local rednecks decided, well, maybe he fit a description. You know, a vague description that all young black men fit. That description of a young black man. That's about it. That's the description he fit. You all know the story, but there have been updates to the story. Besides the fact that 3 people have been arrested in connection to the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, some people called it a lynching. I think it was. Here goes some information obtained from the case as they do the investigation. This is very interesting, also very troubling.
I understand.
It was a hearing that sounded like a trial. Georgia prosecutors summed up their case against 3 white men accused of killing a 25-year-old black man running through their neighborhood.
On February the 23rd of 2020, victim Ahmaud Arbery was chased, hunted down, and ultimately executed at the hands of these men.
The 3 defendants, Gregory McMichael and his son Travis, and William Roddy Bryans Jr., appeared via video link from the county jail. The McMichaels initially told authorities they thought Arbery was a burglary suspect. The prosecution says Arbery had done nothing wrong.
The fact of the matter is that there's no evidence that these defendants saw a burglary, saw any crime, had any subjective belief or even a hunch by these civilians that would authorize their choices that they made to chase after and ultimately gun down this unarmed victim in the middle of the street.
In fact, Arbery was out jogging the day he died. Friends say it's what he loved to do. Prosecutors detailed the events leading up to Arbery's death, saying all 3 men, using 2 pickup trucks, became a neighborhood hunting party, blocking and redirecting Arbery as he tried to flee. Before they finally cornered him, one of the suspects captured Arbery's final moments on cell phone video. On the witness stand, the lead investigator in the case said 34-year-old Travis McMichael admitted to the first officers on the scene he deliberately shot Arbery 3 times with a shotgun. Then Agent Richard Dial shocked the courtroom, recounting what alleged co-conspirator William Bryans says Travis McMichael said next.
Mr. Bryan said that after the shooting took place, before police arrival, while Mr. Arbery was on the ground, that he heard Travis McMichael make the statement.
Now, I should point out that the defense attorneys for Travis McMichael Anderson have denied that Travis McMichael ever made that racial slur, and that the defense attorneys for all the men have maintained that all they were trying to do that day, even though 2 of the men were armed, was trying to have a conversation with Ahmaud Arbery. But that all went wrong, they say, when Ahmaud Arbery turned on them and that Travis McMichael had to fire in self-defense. And one last thing, that hate language, the awful alleged language from Travis McMichael may not have any bearing on his trial. Because as you know, Georgia is one of only a handful of states that has no state hate crime law. Though there is work now to try to change that. But it won't impact the trial or the killers of Ahmaud Arbery.
All right. You know, I recently had the opportunity to interview Killer Mike on the show here. Shout out to Killer Mike. And he talked a lot about Atlanta and how Atlanta is a shining beacon on the hill, so to speak. And that, it's definitely not like some other places. But, Killer Mike wasn't referring actually to the broader Georgia. As the reporter stated here, Georgia has no hate crime statutes. So even though the person who took the killer of Ahmaud Arbery shot Ahmaud Arbery 3 times in broad daylight, unarmed, fleeing for his life, stood over the body and called him a effing nigger, nothing can happen. Nothing more will happen. Now, if he'd done that in Maryland, where there is a hate crime statute, it'd be life in jail. They would look at him using that language to say, hey, your feeling about his race had something to do with what you did to him, the killing of him, but not in Georgia. So when we say that Georgia has some work to do, I guess that's what Killer Mike meant. It ain't perfect. Yeah, it's a long way from perfect. And so are many other states. I mean, it's so infuriating, this particular story, just like the Breonna Taylor story. But this even more so because there was no warrant. Of course, yeah, one of the rednecks is a former police officer with ties to local law enforcement. This case almost went undetected. Not only did these guys who were connected to police, local law enforcement, get this swept under the rug, but they were able to lie to the parents of Ahmaud Arbery, saying that he was caught stealing something. But now surveillance footage shows he didn't steal anything. He stopped by a home that many others stopped by a home, this same home that was under construction, and got a drink of water on his jog and went about his business. There's also surveillance footage of a lot of white people doing the same thing, walking on the property, looking at the property. But for some reason, when the black guy did it, they assumed he was trying to steal the house. We're going to be covering this story extensively and making sure that you stay up to date with what happens with it. Ahmaud Arbery, young man gunned down in his prime, and news you watch makes you more confused after you watch it. Watch the Tim Black Show and know what's going on. Go to patreon.com, Tim's Take Live. Join today.